Hey, it's Gabe with API Nation. Hey, today I'm going to show you how you can sync Mojo Dialer with ActiveCampaign so that as you're making those calls, as you're dialing, you can add somebody to a group in Mojo Dialer and it's going to automatically take that contact, sync it into ActiveCampaign, even drop it on an automation. You don't have to leave Mojo Dialer to do it. It's super easy to set this up. Let me show you how. The first thing you're going to do is go to mojosales.com, log right in there. And what we're doing here is we're going to set up a group for ActiveCampaign. So once I'm logged in, I'm going to go over here to Data and Dialer, and I'm going to create a group. I'm going to call this group ActiveCampaign. You might want to be a little bit more granular about this, depending on what you have set up. So maybe you want to do ActiveCampaign sellers, ActiveCampaign buyers, ActiveCampaign FSBO. This way you can set up different email automations that appeal to each of those audiences. I'm going to go with just ActiveCampaign for now. Next, I'm going to go to apination.com. I'm going to click on Discover Connections. I'm going to see all the different apps I can automate through API Nation. And I'm going to scroll on down to M4 Mojo. There it is. Click on that. It's going to show me all the apps I can send Mojo contacts to, including ActiveCampaign. So I'm going to click on that. And this is the sync available. Sending Mojo contacts into ActiveCampaign. We're going to activate it. Step one is to go ahead and sign into your API Nation account. If you haven't signed in yet, or if you don't have an API Nation account, just click here to create one. You can also create one or sign in by using your Google account, which is what I'm doing right now. Next, we're going to connect to Mojo. Pretty easy. Hit this big button. It's going to take you out to Mojo. You're just going to sign in and connect. And that's it to connect to Mojo. Now we're going to do a similar thing for ActiveCampaign. Hit the big button here. You can see it's asking you for three things: a name for the connection, a URL, ActiveCampaign URL, and the ActiveCampaign key. The name is just in case you're using multiple ActiveCampaign accounts and you need to keep them separate. It's mostly for like marketing accounts, marketing teams. I'm going to go up here to ActiveCampaign to get that user URL. Pretty simple. All you need to go is go to Settings, go to Developer, and that's going to show you the URL and the key. So I'm going to grab that URL, go back to API Nation, paste it in there, and do the same thing with the key. That's it. So now I have the name, the URL, and the key. Hit connect, and that's connecting ActiveCampaign. Super easy. So now we just have a few options here as we create our sync from Mojo into ActiveCampaign. You remember we set up that group earlier called ActiveCampaign. So I'm going to select that. Let's find that group. There it is at the bottom. So if I add somebody to that group in Mojo, they're automatically going to get picked up by this sync and put into ActiveCampaign. I want to select a list here. So I'm going to put them on my new leads list. If I wanted, I could put them on an automation, and I could also apply a tag as they're imported. This looks good. I'm going to hit subscribe. It's going to create the sync, but it's not yet active. So there's this big button to activate it. But I'm going to do a final check here. So we're taking anybody who gets added to that group, putting them in my new leads list. If you wanted, you could put them in an automation. You could also set up a special filter here. So maybe it's everybody who gets put in that ActiveCampaign group, who also I write in the note contains email newsletter. I could do that just to be very specific if you wanted, or if you were looking for something like I only want to email people from a certain state or from a certain city, you could do it that way as well. I'm going to clear it out. I think that group, just selecting the group is good enough for my purposes today. And then you can see we set up, we're sending over email, phone, first name, last name. That looks great. If you forgot which email you've been putting their email address into, which is pretty common with Mojo, to be honest, because they have so many email fields, what you can do here is just add all the email fields, additional emails. So I have email and then additional emails, and you can see it's showing me what that's going to look like. That's not going to be good. That's not a real email address. So I'm going to use a feature here called Fields Priority, and I'm going to tell it, all right, if I put something in primary email, use that. If there's nothing in primary, use whatever's in additional email. So that's kind of nice. You can see now it's just one email. and that's great. So just in case you forgot, you've been putting email addresses not in that primary email address field, but you've been putting them in that separate one, it's going to look through all the email address fields and put them in there. This looks good. I'm going to go to the top and activate the sync. All right, the sync is now running. Now, anytime I'm in Mojo, I'm having a great call. I got a great call with Keisha here, and I just think, you know what? I would love to put her on my ActiveCampaign automation. All I have to do, bam, hit that group. That's it. I can move on to my next person. Keisha is getting put into ActiveCampaign. She's getting put into whatever automation I've added to that list. It's that easy. That's it. That's how you sync up Mojo Dialer and ActiveCampaign. It's going to save you a ton of time. You don't have to import, export, do anything like that. You don't even have to hop out of Mojo. You can just keep making your calls, adding people to groups, which puts them on email automations in ActiveCampaign. If you have any questions or need any assistance, give us a phone call, shoot us an email. We're API Nation, connecting the world's applications. We love doing this stuff.